Hey there. So one of my favorite YouTubers, Joe's House of Horrors, asked me about film noir. I've got a few in my collection. I'm actually quite a big fan. For those uninitiated with film noir, it's a genre that's almost as steeped in the cinematography as in the way that the films are done themselves. They're dark. Often German expressionism is used in the films. A lot of them can be very downbeat, but they're always very entertaining and fun. And they bring you into a world almost unlike your own. If you've watched any of Christopher Nolan stuff, then you will know you'll have gotten a taste of film noir. Because Christopher Nolan, almost everything he does, including his Batman films, he tries to bring the world of film noir, either successful or not, into his films. So I'm going to show you guys some of my favorites, some that I think that should be in everybody's collection. I'll say why, and you may agree or disagree, but comment down below either way. So one of the biggies, one of my favorites, was done by Orson Welles, and it's known a lot for its opening tracking shot. If you're a film student, then the opening tracking shot of this film is one that you've probably studied, kind of like the shower sequence in Psycho. I'm not sure, but like I study film. I actually remember reading a book, and the entire book was on the shower sequence of Psycho. Took it frame by frame, shot by shot, and went down like how it was done. The opening sequence, To Touch of Evil, is something that should really be studied by any person who wants to make film in the same way. It is an amazing tracking shot done. This is a fantastic film. Charlton Heston, Janet Leigh, Orson Welles, just incredible stuff. We got some small appearances also by Marlene Dietrich and Zsa Zsa Gabor in this film. And it's been a while since I've seen this. So basically, Charlton Heston is I'm cribbing off the back here because they'll do a better job of saying it than I will right now. Is a narcotics investigator who clashes with Quinlan, played by Wells, after probing into his dark past. And it's just a very cool film. Janet Leigh plays Charlton Heston's wife in this one here. We got it's a fantastic cast, fantastic film. Just one that really belongs in everybody's collection. Next up is my favorite film noir of all time, and that would be Kiss Me Deadly. I'm not sure what it was at the time that made me love this film, but it's a film that I absolutely adore. Directed by Robert Aldrich, and the really cool thing is it's a later addition into what would be considered film noir. This is 1955, and by 1955, film noir was pretty much not a whole genre anymore. In a lot of times people had said it had gone off, and we've seen film noir come back here and there. But the true film noir is a lot of the more earlier stuff. But this thing is the precursor. This is the granddaddy to a lot of the stuff that will come later. Movies like Repo Man with Emilio Estevez would get a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Would get a lot of its it'd be a precursor to that. Anyway, so we're gonna go with that. Don't look in the briefcase. Just don't look in the shiny briefcase. Now, if you're collecting film noir, one of the most obvious places to go are with the Warner Brothers sets. And if you're not quite sure where to start, then it may seem odd. I could tell you not to start with number one, but there's a reason for that. I'm going to say if you can get it, the Warner Brothers set to get would, first off, if you're a newcomer to film noir, is number 3. Does number 3 have all the best movies? No, it doesn't. It has some great movies, but it has this which you need if you're going to be collecting film noir, and that is this film, this right here. Film noir bringing darkness to light. This is an amazing documentary on the film noir genre. You get to see a lot of really cool film noirs in here. So 9 chances out of 10, you're going to see some of the movies that you want to collect by watching this documentary. It's going to shed light on some films you may not have known about. And to kind of make it even cooler, there's a series that came out, like one of those before film series that used to do, called Crime Doesn't Pay, which is kind of really a cool little short film noir thing that is. You got a few of them here, 5 of them on the series as a bonus. Now, what else comes on the third set of this where we get Border Incident, which has Ricardo Montalban, His Kind of Woman, which is more of a comedic film noir with Robert Mitchum, of course, and Gene Russell. And of course, if you haven't seen it, Ned Creep and Monster Squad, keep an eye out for it because Vincent Price is in this one as well, and he has a decent role. Now, Lady in the Lake is more of the typical film noir that you would expect. You got Robert Montgomery here as Philip Marlowe, and it's kind of a unique one because it's done in the way that it's shown from his point of view, and you never actually see him unless he's looking in a mirror. Some people say it works, some people say it didn't. I enjoyed it. On Dangerous Grounds with Ida Lupina, she was an amazing actress. And of course, The Racket, another Robert Mitchum and Robert Ryan one. Robert Mitchum and Robert Ryan's names are names you're going to hear a lot in the film noir genre. Another name you're going to hear a lot in the film noir genre when you're going through is, well, not that nice, Richard Widmark. And Richard Widmark, Victor Mature were in this fantastic film noir that got horribly remade called Kiss of Death. Kiss of Death was an amazing movie, and Richard Widmark was pretty much the poster child for psychotic killers. Like Robert Mitchum, he just personifies this role. And if you have not seen Kiss of Death, I really, really strongly recommend it. Some cool twists and turns in this one here. Very dark. The camera work in this is fantastic. And this is pretty much, when you think film noir, this movie is film noir. It's about as close as you get to like pure film noir as you'll find. Kiss of Death. Stay away from the David Crusoe Nicolas Cage version. Another famous one by Otto Preminger, and names you're going to hear in a lot in film noir as well, were Gene Tierney and Dana Andrews, and these started in Laura. Laura is a classic film noir, and it's just, one of those dark films. And again, Vincent Price, which Ned the Creepy Monster Squad I think does have. Definitely worth checking out. This has some great commentaries on it. We got some documentaries as well. We got a Gene Tierney documentary and a documentary on Vincent Price. So always a plus. I got a couple more of the film noir sets. So I grabbed the first one. There's some great stuff on here. Murder My Sweet's a fantastic film. Asphalt Jungle I love. Gun Crazy's alright. It's fun. Out of the Past, because I like anything that's got Robert Mitchum in it. Robert Mitchum, Kirk Douglas. The setup is kind of a boxing film noir. It's a different take, and I enjoyed it. My favorite out of the set so far, though, has to be Volume 2. And Volume 2 just had a few really great things on it. Crossfire's on this one. Crossfire's a fantastic film. It's about anti-Semitism as well. And of course, Robert Young is in this, Robert Mitchum and Robert Ryan. We got the three Roberts of film noir, all in one movie together. We have Born to Kill with Lawrence Tierney. This would be the role that would define him until he later on, one of his last roles, I think, would be, God, what's the name of it again? The Quentin Tarantino movie. Name Quentin Tarantino movie, the first one he did. Reservoir Dogs, that's it. Yeah, he was the guy that hired them. Born to Kill, which is the one I just mentioned. Dillinger was another Tierney movie that was awesome. Both Tierney films are on this one here. But the most important film for me on this, and I think one that I think you guys will really enjoy, is a little movie called Narrow Margin. It got remade later with Gene Hackman. But this original is fantastic. And not only that, but if you get this movie, make sure it's got the William Friedkin commentary on it. Because the William Friedkin commentary is freaking incredible. It's probably one of the best commentaries that I've ever had. And recently I got another movie, I can't remember the name right now, but I looked on the back and it had a Friedkin commentary, which means I'm going to listen to that commentary no matter what. Now, Warner Bros. Were the only people to put out film noir sets. Columbia Pictures did some as well. And they did it with Scorsese and Christopher Nolan, kind of like behind it. So that, and they put some cool stuff. But for me, I love this here. Film Noir Classics Volume 1. The Big Heat is one of my all-time favorite movies, film noir or not. And Glenn Ford is incredible in this film as a guy, as a kind of a cop. He's a loving husband, a good father. Things go sour for him. He feels like he's got nothing to lose. And film noir often goes along that line. Movies like The Sniper, just fantastically shot film, great film. Five Against the House, The Lineup, Murder by Contract, and of course, as you see, the Big Heat here was filmed by somebody that would have a lot to do with film noir, even when he wasn't making film noir films. Not as Fritz Lang. The style of film making that you see in the type of cinematography is very much a Fritz Lang style of cinematography when it comes to film noir. Now they put out another volume. There's also actually a third volume, but you got to actually go to their website to buy it. And this one had Human Desire, Pushover, The Brothers Rico, which is a fantastic film, Nightfall, and City of Fear. I love City of Fear. Of course, on here, the first one on here, Human Desire, which I haven't watched in a long time, it has Glenn Ford, so I know I'm going to like it. I love Glenn Ford. My father was named after the actor Glenn Ford. And it's directed by Fritz Lang. So anything Fritz Lang, guys, is great. And the movie here, Nightfall, which I also got to watch, has Jacques Tourneur. And if you are a fan of Val Lewton, you know that Jacques Tourneur was one of the favorite directors for Val Lewton. Name that you cannot actually think of film noir without thinking of this guy, especially some of the stuff that he did for Criterion, like Shock Corridor and stuff like that, is Samuel Fuller. And I love this collection. This is not all film noir, but movies like The Crimson Kimono and Underworld USA definitely go along that suit. And it's a fantastic set. If you can ever get your hands on this set for a decent price, really is worth getting. There's also a Rita Hayworth set that I have that is the movie Gilda, which I think fits in that as well. Next up, I'm going to do these really fast, are the Two Bad Girls of Film Noir sets. They're 2-disc sets, each have 4 movies on them. The highlight an actress in one of them, and it's, what's her name, I think Elizabeth Scott or something like that. We show up in a few of these. And just incredible stuff. Cleo Morrison, I know does at least 1 or 2 of these, maybe more. But just fantastic films. And another one of my favorites, I wanted to mention it, I've mentioned it a few times, but I think this movie is great and deserves mentioning yet again because it's so underrated, and that is Jan Crane's and Michael Rennie's film Dangerous Crossing, which is just a really cool movie. A woman gets on a boat, she's just gotten married, her husband disappears, and this is something we've seen a dozen times by now, but this is more of the start of it. And she's looking over to find her husband, who nobody can verify even exists. So it's an incredible film, great ride. I hope you liked that, Joe. I hope that gave you a bit of an idea of some of the film noir stuff that I think that everybody should get into and check out. There's also movies like Hitchhiker, Scarlet Street, just some great film noir stuff, and offshoots are some great gangster stuff that you might want to check out as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and for me right now, before it gets cold, it is definitely time for tea.